All right, well, this is the most dangerous place to be, where all that stand between you and dinner, right? Yeah. So at least it seems like it. While Jim's getting things set up, a little bit about my background. It's my 4th Mackinac conference. Actually, I was chief of staff to Congressman Mike Rogers between 2003 and 2007 before I returned back home to Iowa and was elected to 2 terms as chairman of the Iowa Republican Party. Jim was my executive director during the 2010 cycle, and then he left the great state of Iowa, went out to D.C., had a crazy idea about how to really change the way grassroots advocacy is done by developing a product that finds new people based on what they're saying, doing, sharing across all social media networks, and then driving them to one platform, one feed, and actually allowing you to communicate back with them on whatever social media network they're talking on an individualized basis. So as we've heard today about the changing nature of grassroots campaigns, advocacy campaigns, which you'll see with Wholecrowd and with our software that we've just started rolling out this year, it really will take things down to the individual level. And originally it wasn't designed as a political tool, but more just a general advocacy tool. We've got folks using it from major universities, Fortune 500 companies, trade associations. We actually just did a demonstration with Congressman Rogers, a good example of how we used it politically. As you know, he's chairman of the House Intelligence Committee. So we were curious, who are people all across the country that care about very specific issues? You know, it was like missile defense or intelligence-related issues. And we were able to find people all across the country that were talking about those specific issues on social media networks and actually pool them into one feed so we could send them a customized message inviting them to a live town hall meeting that Mike was doing with Lockheed Martin at the annual Missile Defense Conference in August. So what has that done politically? Mike now has advocates that are potential donors to his campaign. Anytime he has a policy fight, there may be people he can count on to contact their individual representative or senator to push one of his initiatives. We have a state legislator who was actually looking at running statewide, and he happened to be a state legislator who was running a bill to reform Iowa's tax code. So we use this software, and Jim's going to demonstrate this in a second, to find people all around the state around April 15th that were complaining about their taxes, and then being able to send them a customized message educating them on the fact that this state rep had a plan to reform the tax code, again, turning those people into potential advocates, volunteers, donors. But as you'll see with Jim, we're actually going to use a fun example. We have the University of Iowa is actually, and I'm a proud Hawkeye. I understand I'm in the wrong territory for that, but we're using the University of Iowa is using this platform to identify people that can be advocates for university initiatives, both at the legislature and in their communities. So we're actually going to show a demonstration of exactly how the product works.
Great, thanks, Matt. For those of you that weren't here earlier, my name is Jim Anderson. I am the founder and CEO at Wholecrowd, which we're going to show you here in a second. I don't know if it's on the screen. There you go. So if everybody went to wholecrowd.com, you would see this pop-up box where we ask you very kindly to follow us on, or like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and follow us on LinkedIn. So whenever you get the chance, it'd be great if you did that. You'll see here that this is our landing page. There's a login screen, a button here in the top right. As Matt mentioned, this is a social media engagement and management tool that really gives campaigns, state parties, corporations, universities a chance to go find the right advocates, and not only just find the right advocates, but engage with the right advocates. And we've heard from Google and Facebook about how everybody's online every 30 seconds they're checking their feed. Well, it's really important that as a candidate or as a campaign that you're understanding what they're saying when they go to these pages, because in many cases there's a lot of advocates out there that you may never speak to unless you have the proper tools to do that. So, Wholecrowd, we work with our clients to define what kind of keywords and phrases are important to their brand. You'll see here, as the University of Iowa's example, they break it down different words per platform. I think George with Facebook was mentioning the use of hashtags. Hashtags are essentially across the board now with Instagram and Twitter. It's a great way to stay on top of a conversation and find more advocates. This is also where our clients, we sync their social media accounts, so anytime we engage with a potential new advocate, we're we're synced up as the client's social media account, so it's from their voice, whether that be a candidate, a party, again, or a university. It's very easy to go in and edit these words. You can add as many as you want, delete them. Once those words are entered into this software, it starts listening immediately. So in real time, we're getting people mentioning these words or phrases in a defined geographic location. So in the University of Iowa's example, they listen for a lot of across the states in the Midwest. We've got, obviously, if you're doing a congressional campaign, you want to find people that are in your congressional district, and you can even get it down to the state legislator and the city council race if you needed to. So we define where we want to listen, we define what words we want to listen for, what type of people do we want to go find, and then this is where we spend, our client managers spend a lot of their time. It's inside of this crowd feed. So quickly, I'll show you, I'll let you explain here what this crowd feed has. It's got a couple different filters, one by platform. In the case of the University of Iowa, sometimes they like to run an Instagram campaign where they're talking directly to people on Instagram. So you can simply filter the feed to narrowly target it to your Instagram posts. In this case, we have all of them in here. You can search it by word, and then you can also define it by time frame. So let's get into the feed. We can see, obviously, it's Saturday. University of Iowa football team played today. So Taylor Milder, you can see their profile picture, their Twitter name. We can follow the individual directly from the feed, which is important, right? I mean, we've heard a lot about following the right people, talking to the right people, saying the right message. Well, who do you want to follow you on Twitter? You want the right person to follow you on Twitter. So if you're engaging with that person in conversation about the issue that matters to your campaign and you're following them, they kind of feel like there's some sort of connection there in many cases. They're most likely to follow you back. Again, building that relationship for when the time comes to make some sort of call to action, they respond. You've also heard a lot about sentiment monitoring. And I mentioned briefly in the earlier panel, crowd mood. Their sentiment monitorings are great, and they're computer-generated algorithms that are thrown onto a feed or some sort of data and analyzes it, and it tells you what's being said positively or negatively about an issue. Well, the one thing they don't really pick up all the time is sarcasm or jokes. I could say if University of Iowa lost today, I could say, man, the Hawkeyes are terrible, but I'm just being sarcastic. I really love the Hawkeyes. I'm a diehard fan. Problem with that is it would generate as a negative. What we do, since we have client managers monitor these feeds all day, it takes a quick second just to say, well, that's a positive response, and that's a female. All of that data is cataloged on the back end in our database, so when our clients have the need to, whether it's post some sort of online advertisement, they're able to understand what's being said positively, negatively, and who's saying it, which is really, really important. So if you want to go target females, you probably want to know what's being said positively.
Let me give you a good example where that was helpful. A few weeks ago, I think it was Princeton Review or one of those type outfits, claimed ranked Iowa as the University of Iowa was the #1 party school in the country. As you can imagine, that's the type of thing that gets shared far and wide across social media platforms. Obviously, it's something that was a huge concern to the university, but what they needed to know with what was being said online, all right, what were just kind of smart aleck remarks that really weren't anything to worry about. But who were the parents of kids at Iowa that were really concerned about it? So we're able to not just use the crowd mood function, but we're able to identify out of roughly 8,000 posts that there were about 50 that were legitimate tuition-paying parents who had expressed concern online. So we're able to do then, and Jim will show it the message function, we're able to send them a customized message back that had a link talking about everything the University of Iowa was doing to combat underage drinking on campus. So it's a good example of how you can use some of these tools to really customize that message and tailor it in a way that it would have made sense to send that link broadly to 8,000 people.
Yeah, no, absolutely, that's a great point. So Matt mentioned the messaging component, which is very critical when it comes to advocacy, talking to people, saying the right things. On Twitter, we simply hit this message button. Again, a few things we can see here is Taylor's name again. Taylor's registered with Clout. Her Clout score is 23. For those not familiar with Clout, it's an internet service that tells you what essentially your influence is online, how many people retweet you, how many people like your post on Facebook, comment on it, etc. The average is probably in the low 30s, so she's a little bit below average. It gives us a quick idea as to is somebody going to retweet Taylor, or somebody going to like her post, etc. And then, we can see that with Twitter, her Twitter handle automatically populates. So when we were to send a message, we would just type it in here or pick from a drop-down box and just hit reply. So right away, we know Taylor is getting that message. And as Matt mentioned, every time we send a message, we're obviously including a short link to a website for our clients where all of that analytics is tracked, whether or not they click that link. So we're able to also understand what messages are moving people, what messages are people responding to, et cetera. So it's a very, very powerful tool, not only to message to people, but to message to the right people.
And keep in mind that the outbound messages are coming from whoever the client is. So it could be coming from the campaign. It could be coming from @MIGOP. So that is, the Wholecrowd is just completely what is in the background. So the only thing the individual sees that you're messaging is your brand or whatever your handle is on social media.
Yep. And again, just in this feed, we can see obviously the post. We can see what word this post matched on. We can delete it. If it's spam, we could hide this user from any future posts, and then the messaging component as well. And then quickly, the dashboard. So at Wholecrowd, we are truly a customer service business for our clients. Rather than telling everybody what they can and cannot have access to, we essentially give them access to whatever they want, right? I mean, everybody's campaign goals are different, so we shouldn't be able to tell them what they're able to see as far as an analytical chart and what they can't see. So we simply sit down with them and ask them what they want, and we tailor their dashboard to their needs. At the top, you can see 4 circles. 7,085 represents the number of unique individuals that are talking about our search words. Those represent unique individuals, and if I were to tweet 4 times about the Hawkeyes, I still count as one. So in actuality, the number of posts is a multiple of that. Messages sent, new members, average clout score is 44. We can also put any chart that you would ever want here. Some folks like to see word clouds of words that are being said about their brand or their issue most often. Some like to see a breakdown of what the negative posts are, what the positive posts are. And some just like to see what words are being said most often, because that's really how you can fine-tune the proper message. If you know what people are saying most often and who it's coming from, whether it's a male or female, what their age are, where they're located, it really helps you craft the right message to send to the right person, which is what we talked about earlier. That direct engagement one-on-one is really how you build a relationship, and particularly in advocacy, whether you want to get them to vote, donate, et cetera, that's the best way to do it. So that was a very quick version of what our product can do. We're happy to take questions afterwards. I don't know, Matt, if you've got other stuff to add. But you guys have heard a lot about social media engagement and data, and how often people are all over these social media platforms. It's really about finding the right tool to manage that whole process. Because if you're not engaging directly back with them, then you're really missing out on an opportunity to capture somebody part of your whole crowd.
Well, and it really isn't. I mean, the whole goal of this is to try and identify people who you probably didn't know had the potential to be advocates for your candidate, your campaign, or your issue. You have your internal email lists or your existing database, but you never know when somebody online is gonna they're gonna pick up their phone and tweet or Facebook post about something that ticked them off that day, and it could be spending, it could be corruption in government. Well, boom, then you know that you've got an opportunity to bring somebody into your fold that you can mobilize as a volunteer, as a voter, somebody that can actually, hey, this guy gets it. He understands that this is something we should be upset about. And the whole goal is to build that crowd, not just the folks that are your existing supporters, but to try and identify more like-minded people out there that you can turn into advocates for your campaign, whether you're running for city council or certainly all the way up to statewide races.
Yeah, and just to add quickly on that, a few things that really separate us apart from anyone else is the fact that we provide the client manager. So those, even those city council races where they can't really manage this themselves, it's where we're able to go in and really help them not only just provide advice, but also manage all their social media campaigns and engagements. And data, right? We've talked a lot about data. Part of our product is capturing data on behalf of our clients, but another part of what we do is we share that data. So rather than just kind of keeping it all into our own little database, we share with our clients, because they're the paying clients, every piece of data that we can capture on their behalf, and they can in turn use that to communicate with these individuals in the future, whether it's for a campaign or an issue advocacy fight, et cetera. So with that, thank you for your time. We hope you guys enjoyed it, and enjoy the rest of your time on the island.
Thanks.